For years, street circuits have been the center for many of racing's biggest events in their biggest markets. Modern NASCAR has put their own spin on the concept with races in Chicago and now San Diego. But open-wheelers and sports cars have already turned another California city into an iconic circuit. Today, we visit a timeline where NASCAR makes history by racing on it themselves, as the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series takes on the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Today, the 2007 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series is set to take the streets of Long Beach for a late-season showdown. In a time full of change in American racing, between the last races of the Gen 4 car and the impending open-wheel reunification, NASCAR is bringing something all new to the table and is set to run on this iconic SoCal circuit. With that said, we have two special guest drivers in the field, both of who have made their mark in American open-wheel racing. The IndyCar champion Dario Franchitti, in the midst of his transition to full-time NASCAR racing, will run a one-off for Chip Ganassi, the number 39 Target Dodge. After a 4-win championship season in IndyCar, Franchitti returns to this circuit where he ran sports cars in the spring. Long Beach's Grand Prix was held by Champ Car this year, in which their own defending champion, Sébastien Bourdais, brought home the trophy. But today, he's making a NASCAR one-off too. His longtime sponsor McDonald's brings him to Gillette Evernham Motorsports, where he will drive the number 98 today, looking for a remarkable sweep at this circuit. Not to mention, you may recall from when he won an IROC race back in 2005 at Texas Motor Speedway. We're in for a very interesting and exciting race today, and with all that being said, let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race at Long Beach. Starting on the pole is the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, and next to him is the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Starting third is the 16 of Greg Biffle, and Clint Bowyer starts next to him. Defending champion Jimmy Johnson will roll off fifth, and in sixth is the 19 of Elliott Sadler. Starting seventh is the 5 of Kyle Busch, and next to him is Robbie Gordon, who's going to be a threat today for sure. Starting ninth is Kevin Harvick in the 29, and rounding out the top 10 is Carl Edwards. Starting 11th is Martin Truex Jr., and Jeff Burton will start 12th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will start 13th, and next to him, the 12 of Ryan Newman. Starting 15th is another driver that's no stranger to this track, Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42, and starting 16th is Matt Kenseth. 2004 champion Kurt Busch will start in 17th, and David Stremme will start 18th. Casey Mears will start 19th, and in 20th, making his Cup debut, Dario Franchitti. Starting 21st is the 18 of J.J. Yeley, and next to him is Casey Kane. Starting 23rd is Paul Menard, and in 24th is Jamie McMurray. In 25th, you'll find the 22 of Dave Blaney, and David Reagan will start in 26th. Starting 27th is the 66 of Jeff Green, and Bobby Labonte will roll off in 28th. David Gilliland will start in 29th, and starting 30th with a poor qualifying run is Tony Stewart. Ricky Rudd will roll off in 31st, and Sébastien Bourdais will start 32nd. Rolling off 33rd is the 41 of Reed Sorenson, with Dale Jarrett next to him in 34th. Mark Martin will start 35th in the 01, and the 83 of Brian Vickers will start 36th. Kyle Petty will roll off in 37th, and Michael Waltrip will roll off in 38th. Getting towards the tail end of the field now, AJ Allmendinger will start 39th, Tony Raines will start 40th, and rounding out the field today, the 10 of Scott Riggs and the 70 of Johnny Sauter. 4 drivers did fail to qualify today, those being the 00 of David Rudiman, the 4 of Ward Burton, the 21 of Ken Schrader, and the 78 of Kenny Wallace. A series with Southern oval roots continues to evolve. NASCAR is about to hit the streets on perhaps the most famous temporary circuit in America. For years, the streets of Long Beach have hosted open-wheelers and sports cars, but now stock cars are bringing some all-American thunder. Hamlin and Gordon lead the field down Shoreline Drive, and we are green. Hamlin clears Gordon for the lead as Boyer and Biffle battle for third. Looks like they will battle for that position as now Elliott Sadler and Jimmy Johnson fight for fifth. Still side by side with Kyle Busch and Robbie Gordon behind them. Of course, a track like this is beneficiary to Robbie Gordon with his background. He's hoping for a good run today. Meanwhile, Elliott Sadler clears Jimmy Johnson, the defending champion, for fifth. Now we see Kyle Busch sneaking up to the left side of the 48. Johnson works on holding his ground. Meanwhile, Robbie Gordon is looking to pounce too. Coming back to complete the first lap, Denny Hamlin leads the way with Jeff Gordon in second. Riding on board with Robbie Gordon in his Jim Beam Ford, right behind two of the Hendrick Chevrolets of Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch as they come crossing the line here to complete the first lap of today's race. 35 laps in total. So not too long of a race, but a lot can still occur. As they round the bend here, and contact between the... Oh my goodness! Robbie Gordon into the wall after contact with Carl Edwards. Are you kidding me? And this is so much different from a typical road course. There's not a lot of runoff. It's very narrow, and you saw a mistake made there, and Robbie Gordon's promising day is going to come to an end just like that. Behind those Hendrick drivers are Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. Harvick, the Daytona 500 champion, back in his home state, looking for a good run today. They still remain side by side as Edwards hangs in tough. And now he pulls away in his Office Depot 4. Well, Edwards recollects himself. You see Jeff Gordon running there in second, who's had a great season so far in 2007. Coming back to lap 3 as everyone gets settled in. This is going to be a race of endurance, focus, and finesse around these tight corners. You saw there a lap ago with Robbie Gordon. You cannot make a mistake, and you saw Carl Edwards getting into him. One little mistake can end your day, so you got to be able to finesse your way around these corners here. And it's a challenge for these drivers, but a challenge that they're willing to take, especially here in Long Beach. You see Elliott Sadler running up there. Good run for him so far. Carl Edwards, no damage on that 99 car, so he's going to be fine, but Robbie Gordon is on pit road, and they are taking that Jim Beam Ford back to the garage area. His day is done. After a promising qualifying run, his day comes to an end. Back to the action now. Denny Hamlin still leading. Then it's Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, Greg Biffle, Elliott Sadler, and then Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch right behind them. We already see 3 of the Hendrick Motorsports cars up in the mix. Plenty of racing still to go as everybody's just trying to settle in as we get going here on the streets of Long Beach. Three laps are complete here. We're going to come back to lap 4 this time as the FedEx Chevrolet roars down the main stretch in front of a sold-out crowd. Denny Hamlin following up a successful rookie season and a good sophomore year. And now he's looking for, I would say, first road course win, but more so a first road racing win in his Nextel Cup career, since this is a first for the Nextel Cup as the best drivers in the world take on the streets of Long Beach as they fly by here on the front stretch. Now let's take the time to look at the replay here. You see Johnson and Kyle Busch making contact, but you see the worst of it between Robbie Gordon and Carl Edwards. Lots of damage on that number 7 car as we go on board now with Robbie Gordon. It looks like the 99 just drove it in a little too hard, or the 7 may have gotten into him, but it did not end well for Robbie Gordon. I'm sure he's not too pleased about what happened here. Here's an onboard of Carl Edwards now as they head into turn 1, gets right to the quarter panel of the 7, and there you have it. On board with Dario Franchitti, who's making his Nextel Cup debut for Chip Ganassi Racing, as he's looking to go full-time next year in 2008. And it's going to be interesting to watch that transition from IndyCar to NASCAR as we ride along the streets of Long Beach with Franchitti, a circuit he is very much familiar with. Franchitti's main goal today is just clocking in all the laps, getting the experience, getting the feel of a NASCAR stock car. Obviously, the transition from an open-wheel car, something that's a lot more lighter and brakes a lot easier, it's so much different compared to that and a big, heavy stock car like a NASCAR Nextel Cup car, and you're seeing that. And Dario's just taking it nice and easy, hitting his corners, hitting his marks, not too concerned about winning, just learning, gaining experience and data so that he can use any information that he can as he makes this transition into NASCAR. Lots of open-wheel guys trying to give NASCAR a go. Of course, there's also Sebastian Bourdais as well. Eight laps complete of the 35 scheduled here in Long Beach. Denny Hamlin continues to lead. Jeff Gordon second. Clint Bowyer third. Not much has changed in the front besides the little incident on lap 2. Things are pretty calm so far. You also see Greg Biffle fourth. Elliott Sadler running fifth. And there's Jimmy Johnson, the 2006 champion, and looking to secure back-to-back championships for 2007. Incredible season and an incredible run he and Chad Knaus and that entire Lowe's team has been making recently. Definitely the guy to beat right now in the Nextel Cup field. I'm sure for 2008 he's going to be a threat for the championship as well. But our focus is back up front as Hamlin continues to lead, trying to pull away from Jeff Gordon. Of course, Gordon very good on the road course game, but just like everybody else, not too familiar with the street races. So even for a guy like Jeff Gordon, this is a fun challenge for him, but he's been excited about running this race here today. Someone who, of course, was originally born in California, later moved to Indiana. The man that was once named as Wonder Boy, running up there in second in that iconic DuPont Chevrolet. Back behind him, Clint Bowyer. How about Clint Bowyer? Good run for him in that DirecTV Chevrolet as well, as the crowd is enjoying these big, heavy stock cars roaring around the streets of Long Beach. Now we go on board with the 98 of Sebastian Bourdais, one of our two one-off drivers for today. Of course, just won the Champ Car race here and now running the Nextel Cup Series race. Just taking things one corner at a time, one lap at a time. And of course, stock car game he's kind of familiar with. He won the IROC race at Texas a couple of years ago, back in 2005. So he knows how to handle a car very similar to this. And once again, just taking things one lap at a time and enjoying himself out there. Denny Hamlin is making his way down to pit road to open the pit window. Jeff Gordon follows him down as well. Clint Bowyer, Greg Biffle, and Elliott Sadler stay out. Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch, however, will join their teammate on pit road. Perhaps some total team control being used in the Hendrick camp to come up with a strategy to get some great results today. Hamlin is reporting no issues on his FedEx Chevrolet. Same with Jeff Gordon. Jimmy Johnson asking for a quick wedge adjustment, but the 11 and 24, they're feeling pretty good about their cars, as both drivers will get 4 tires and Sunoco fuel into their Chevrolets, as Hamlin will pull off in front of Jeff Gordon. Barring no issues, he should retain the lead. And as I say that, Hamlin has a problem. He locks up into the tire barriers coming off pit road as Hamlin continues to roll, but he's got heavy damage on the side of that FedEx Chevrolet. And a mistake definitely made here by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. That and the mixture of cold, fresh tires, just not a great mix, and Hamlin was not able to adapt to it too well as we go on board with him on the replay, just getting off pit road, trying to get himself adjusted, just went a little too wide and hits the tire barrier, the very edge of it. That will cause Jeff Gordon to go right past him as Denny Hamlin makes a costly mistake that could cost him a chance to win. And meanwhile, as that goes on, we got another incident. Carl Edwards, this time running into Dale Jarrett, who's been running in the back of the field. That's the second time Carl Edwards has been having issues today. First with Robbie Gordon, and now with Dale Jarrett, just trying to get this street course figured out. No caution as of yet. Still not enough to Gardner bringing out a caution as pit stops are wrapping up. And we got another problem as I say that. This time, it's A.J. Allmendinger in the 84, and that will indeed bring out the caution. There's some debris in that section that the safety crews will have to clean up. A wild set of events here, and it'll be interesting to see what everything looks like once we get back to green as we take a look at the replay. A very similar incident to what we just saw with Hamlin. He exits pit road, hits the tire barrier and the inside wall, got some damage to the right front of that Red Bull Toyota, and Kyle Petty comes scraping along, and A.J. Allmendinger turns Kyle Petty right after. Wow, what was that about? Take a look at the replay again. I guess Allmendinger must have been very frustrated and kind of took it out on Kyle Petty. I'm sure Kyle Petty is going to remember that as the caution comes out for the first time this afternoon here in Long Beach. Under caution as some of the leaders who pit right before the yellow flag came out come back down. Jeff Gordon is going to try and top off and make it the rest of the way. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin has some repairs to make, and his chances of winning today may have just gone out the window. Looks like today he will not be beating your favorite driver. We have some cars on the tail end of the lead lap as Elliott Sadler is marked as your leader. It has been since April 2004 since he last won a Nextel Cup Series race. As we go back up through the gears and we're back underway at Long Beach. Sadler immediately gets to work on the lap cars as we have some contact. David Reagan and Jeff Green, as well as Sadler and Kyle Petty. That could have been very disastrous had Reagan lost control in front of the leader, but we keep going as Elliott Sadler continues to lead. Clint Boyer is second, Casey Kane third, Greg Biffle fourth, and Carl Edwards fifth. Two Evernham cars running in the top five. Ray Evernham has got to be enjoying watching two of his Dodges running up here in the top five. 15 or so laps, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a lot at a course like this. Still plenty of action remaining here on the streets of Long Beach, California. Who is going to be California dreaming at the end of this one? Right now, it's looking like the Virginia native, Elliott Sadler, as he continues to lead. Again, looking to snap a long winless drought. And how special would it be if it came at an occasion like this, the very first street race in Nextel Cup history. Ten laps to go here at Long Beach as Elliott Sadler holds a nearly 11-second lead over Clint Boyer. The leaders, however, are now in fuel-conserving mode. Sadler is trying to get to the finish without needing to pit again, and his crew is saying it's going to be close. So we have a fuel race on our hands, and who knows what could happen next. April 2004, Texas Motor Speedway. That was the last time Elliott Sadler has been in victory lane in the Nextel Cup Series. Ironically, that was against his current teammate, Casey Kane, who was trying to chase his first career win. Casey Kane, of course, had a couple of notable finishes where he came so close. That was Rockingham and then Texas. Of course, that was when Sadler was driving for Robert Yates, now driving for Ray Evernham. 3 years later here in the fall of 2007. And now Elliott Sadler as the laps continue to tick away. Could this be the day for him? He just has to continue to hit his marks, have no issues, and save on fuel, and I think he will be just fine. Five laps to go here in Long Beach, and they are saying on the radio he's going to be very, very close. They're saying half a lap short on fuel, but they're telling him continue to save. You have a big lead. You don't need to worry as much. Clint Bowyer is way too far back at this point to catch Sadler. The only way that he can catch him is if Sadler were to run out of gas. But they're basically telling him continue to save in case you can just coast to the finish if you need to. It's the good old fuel game. And the end of this race could get really interesting if our leaders were to run out. You see Clint Bowyer there in second. He's going to have to bank on Sadler running out of fuel or caution. Even though he did pit more recently, he is way far back. 2 laps to go for Elliott Sadler. He's got nothing to worry about besides fuel. Trying to get his first win in 3 years and his first with Evernham Motorsports. This could be a huge win for the Virginia native as long as he has enough to get to the checkers. It's going to be very close, but I think he has large enough of a lead to where it's not going to be a concern as long as he runs out of fuel coming to the checkered flag. And that is why his crew told him, continue to save, because still it's about maybe half a lap short, maybe less than half a lap. So at this point, I think Sadler can coast to the finish. His margin of lead is over 20 seconds. So he can just take his time and hit his marks around this course. Doesn't need to worry about anything. No pressure here. This is where it's all going to pay off. We're coming to the white flag here. Elliott Sadler just needs to hang on for a little bit longer. Here he comes back to the start-finish line. White flag. Final lap for Elliott Sadler. Bowyer is far back in second. Sadler may have enough to coast to the finish if he has to. A much-needed win here for Sadler. A long time coming, and a win that could steer him in the right direction for the rest of the season and perhaps going into next season. Especially for Evernham Motorsports. I think this is going to be a big win for him and for Dodge, really. This is going to be a monumental win to win the very first street race in Nextel Cup Series history at an iconic temporary circuit known as Long Beach. They're telling him you can coast from here. Elliott Sadler rounding the corners here as the fans cheer him on. And Sadler's got to be thinking to himself, I am so close. I can just finish this off in a few more corners and I can celebrate this win. But it's not over until it's over. Just a few more turns to go for the 19. And I think at this point, Sadler can start celebrating. I think his crew can start celebrating. It is all paid off for that 19 team. His crew tells him he can coast from here. He's going to make it on fumes around the final corner. He is out of gas, but he's going to get back to the line. Elliott Sadler will win at Long Beach. A 3-year-long winless drought has been snapped. Sadler is out of gas, but at this point, it does not matter. He will be celebrating this one into the early hours of Monday morning with this one. A job well done by Elliott Sadler. Sadler had a 24-second interval on Greg Biffle, so he had plenty of room to run out of gas if he had to. And with that, let's look at our final results here. Elliott Sadler is your winner. Greg Biffle is second. Clint Bowyer third. Jimmy Johnson fourth. Jeff Gordon in fifth. Carl Edwards 6th. 7th is Kyle Busch. Ricky Rudd, after starting 31st, finishes in 8th. Kevin Harvick 9th, and Jeff Burton is 10th. Looking at the rest of your finishing order, Dale Jr. finishes 11th. In 12th was Ryan Newman. Kurt Busch was 13th. Paul Menard with a solid run in 15th. Sebastian Bourdais with a respectable 16th place finish. And a couple more open wheel guys you see here. Montoya 17th. Frank Keeney 18th. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin ended up finishing in 19th. In 21st was Dave Blaney. Casey Mears 23rd. Matt Kenseth was 24th. Tough break for Tony Stewart in 26th. Casey Kane 27th. David Gillen was the last car in the lead lap in 30th. As you see the rest of your final results, tough day for Team Red Bull. Brian Vickers 34th. AJ Allmendinger 35th. Jeff Green there in 36th. David Reagan 38th. And rounding out the field, Kyle Petty 40th. Dale Jarrett 41st. And tough day for Robbie Gordon. He was hoping to have a great run. Got in that wreck on lap 2. He finishes dead last. What a fun, exciting race we had today from Long Beach. Thank you all so much for watching as always, and stay tuned for more updates regarding Sunday Night Lights 2001. With that being said, I'm Gray Speed Productions, and I'll see you in the next video.